hope you're doing well. I wanted to do something a little bit different for this video. So I wanted to do an update of my houseplant collection. Now, disclaimer. About 5.5, 6 months ago, I moved to a new city. I sold all of my collection before I moved at the time. I used to be an importer, and I used to buy all of these beautiful rare house plants, and they were just extremely difficult to upkeep the maintenance and keep them healthy and sellable for a business. So I have about a year's worth of experience in doing that, but I don't necessarily want to do that at this current time. So I have purchased plants that some of them I have owned previously, some of them I have wanted and just never purchased, all of which are easy to care for. Just to let you know that, all of which are easy to care for. So, that being said, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get you the first plant. I stacked them up here. So the first plant that I bought whenever I came to the new city and decided I wanted to have plants again was this Calathea Orbifolia. Now I'm going to see if I can move in. The reason that it's called a Calathea Orbifolia is because the leaves come out in these cylinder patterns and they have the stripes on them and they are beautiful. This is the newest leaf on this plant. Right here. This is the newest leaf on this plant right here. Now, this plant was really, really teeny tiny when I bought it. I forgot to water it one time. And it got crispy edges on every single leaf. Even this new leaf has a crispy edge right here. But I will say, Calathea orbifolias like anywhere from 60 to 70% humidity. I do not have that in my room. I mainly bought this plant as a challenge to just try to keep it alive. Because I've bought rare philodendron, I've bought rare anthurium, and I've had no problems keeping them alive. But Calatheas, I've killed every Calathea I've ever bought. So I knew that this initially was going to take a little bit of a hit anyway. But I bought it anyway because I just wanted to try and keep it alive. So, with that being said, if you have a humidifier, I would just put this beside it. And then I honestly think that it'll be just fine. Don't miss waterings because they do like to stay a little bit in moist soil. They don't want to drown in wet soil. But if you keep the soil damp constantly and you just don't let it dry out, then it is going to be perfectly fine. I do think that a lot of mine is just low humidity. I really do need to start misting the plant. And then it might actually avoid some of these crispy edges. But it is, it's putting out one new leaf right after the other. So I do actually think that it's going to be okay. Just not perfect. This next plant, I will insert a picture because it's kind of funny. This prayer plant, or it's a Maranta lemon lime. I had a plant that went all the way down basically to my hip when I held it up to my head because it was so big, so long, and luscious and beautiful. And I really think that it was just, I luckily picked a very strong prayer plant. The reason that I say that is most prayer plants that I've seen that other people have had They've had like extremely crispy edges. They've had very flimsy leaves. They have a lot of dents in their leaves. And mine was, the leaves seemed thicker. They seemed a little bit more velvety. So I always thought the plant was a little bit more tough, and I don't know if it was because it was hardened off really well before it was shipped to the plant shop or what. I don't know, but I never had problems with it. When I moved, I sold it, which killed me because it was my favorite plant. My cousin I've given her a cutting of that plant. And by the time I had moved, it had grown into a big bushy plant. So I took a cutting of it when I first moved up here. And since I took a cutting of it, it has not, it amazes me because it is still beautiful. I mean, there's like a little bitty spot here and here from where I am not using distilled water. Prayer plants cannot process the chlorine in the water. So they actually, the tips of their leaves burn because the chlorine goes through the entire plant and out to the very tip of the leaf, and the plant can't get rid of it, so it burns because it holds it there away from the rest of the system. This plant, this was a 2-leaf cutting when I got it 5 months ago. Since then, don't get me wrong, you can definitely tell that the back, this is the part that goes against the wall, but I just have it sitting beside my window. I haven't fertilized it yet. I'm actually about to do that when this video is over with. It is putting out leaves, like beautiful, thick, luscious leaves. I am obsessed. The leaves are dark too. They're dark, thick, velvety leaves, and it has 1, 2, 3 shoots coming out. This thing is just, I want to see if I can show you. I already need to repot it because the roots, I don't even know if you can see that. The roots are growing out of the bottom. They're starting to. So I don't think I necessarily need to do it just yet, like right now. But I really wanted to film this video for you guys because I wanted to show you can have beautiful plants and you don't necessarily have to have the rarest of the rare. This is my favorite plant, and it is the easiest to take care of, and I think it is the most beautiful out of any one of the ones that I have. I got this plant around about 24 or 25 hours ago. Someone gave it to me, and this is just a regular angel wing begonia. It's actually very pretty as well. As soon as I got it, I did tie it up on a stake because it was leaning over a little bit. This one actually is about to get some fertilizer and some water as well. It is in a cashpo in a nursery pot down here. I want to see what I can do with this because I've never owned a begonia. I've just never bought one. I don't necessarily think that they're hard to take care of, and I love the established leaves because it is an angel wing, hence the name. But I don't like the way that the leaves come out all crinkly and then they unfold and grow as they go. But then again, I probably shouldn't be that picky. So I am going to just try to leave this one in regular temperature, regular humidity, and just kind of see how it goes, because I don't think that these type of begonias necessarily need a lot of humidity. I think that they are hardened off pretty well before you even buy them. So this is the angel wing begonia. I've wanted one of these for a long time. This is a Ficus Elastica Taniki. It's a rubber plant, but the technical name is a Ficus Elastica. I just brought this from outside. It's very, very warm where I'm at. It stays relatively the same temperature with minor fluctuations at this time of season, and it has been exploding with growth since I put it outside. So I've just been leaving it out there. I'm kind of worried that's going to cause some problems several months from now when the temperature starts to drop and get really cold and I bring it inside. But this is my Ficus Elastica Taniki. It doesn't look amazing because it had leaves here, here, and here going all the way up. During the winter, it dropped all of the leaves except for 3. When I put it outside, it put out this leaf here, which is honestly relatively big for a smaller plant. And I think it's pretty. And then just a couple of days ago, it unfurled this one. And if you can look at this one has a little bit more of the variegation. It is still growing. The leaf literally just unfurled. But I'm surprised at the rate of growth because this has already unfurled and this is getting quite large already, so it's going to put out a bigger leaf. These really just, it depends on where you have them in your house, in the conditions in which you have them, on how much you're going to water it. They like to be in a little bit higher humidity. I don't have that. So I think I'm going to start relatively misting the leaves. I think I'm going to start misting all of my plants because I know from experience it makes a difference. Some people say it does. Some people say it doesn't. But I do definitely think that it makes a difference and it helps. This one also needs a watering, so I am going to do that. I actually need to water all of my plants. But I do want to note something. If I can make the camera focus enough on this. Do you see these little dots on this leaf? This plant gets growth sugars, and that is perfectly normal. So growth sugars are just, I don't know, I guess it's its version of fruit, but it's not fruit, it's just, sugar. Don't mistake those for bugs. Some plants have them, some plants don't. For this plant, it is relatively normal to get them on every single leaf at some point in time. And I've heard horror stories of people growing out these gigantic leaves, and then it just drops all of the leaves during winter and you're left with a stump. I think that has something to do with the drastic temperature change. The plant just freaks out and drops all of its leaves. So what I am going to do, and my suggestion, well, first of all, my suggestion would be to look up anything and everything you can and then piece together the common denominators. But I would recommend when it starts getting really cold outside, I would bring this plant in, probably take it a couple feet at least away from the windows and walls. So that way the cold does not get to it, and put it under a grow light. That way you can supplement as much light as possible since it got used to growing outside, and you're not putting it up against a window where it can get cold drafts, which is what's going to make it drop its leaves and what made mine drop their leaves. So I've got 2 more itty bitty small plants to show you that aren't anything special. So this is an asparagus burn. Let me see if I can get it to focus a little bit better if I cover up my face. Yeah, so it has some browning on it. Number one, the browning is because I forgot to water it for like a month when I was getting adjusted to moving in here. Number two, my roommate's cat ate some of it, but my roommate's cat didn't get sick, so everything's okay. But it did have a whole bunch of sprouts, and it took probably like a month for it to finally start putting out another sprout right here. My roommate calls this the Dr. Seuss plant because, I mean, it kind of looks like it deserves to be in a Dr. Seuss book. But my experience with this plant, at least, is it'll grow perfectly fine, but when you F up its watering schedule or its light schedule, it is hell on earth to get it back on track because it's still roughing it. I'm hoping some fertilizer will help. We'll see. We're gonna find out. Now this plant, this is just a regular spider plant. Honestly, it's kind of dangly because I also need to water it, which I'm gonna do when we get done with this video. But these plants are extremely tough. Like, you can go a really long time without watering this plant and it's not going to be a big deal. It's going to get a little lanky like this, but when you water it, it's just going to perk right back up. It also needs a little bit of fertilizer. I fertilize my plants weekly, as in WEAKLY, weekly. Every single week it gets a very, very like micro dose of fertilizer, and it helps. It's been a few weeks since I've watered my plants, admittingly, because I've been really busy filming content. But that's about to change. Everything's going to be fine. But I also wanted to let you guys know I'm not necessarily trying to make content related around plants. I just wanted to make a video about this because it was so heavily requested that I wanted to give you guys an update on my plant situation. So if you guys want to see more videos on plants, it will be an ASMR format in the form of a ramble. Because I do want to focus on ASMR and I want to keep making content over here. And I want to keep gaming content on my other channel in the form of live streaming or clips or anything like that. So just to let you guys know, thank you guys for watching. After this video, we'll be back on a regular ASMR format type deal, even though this was just a ramble. Thank you guys for watching. I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Good night.